Writers, I've partnered with Queen Beauty Studio to purchase these amazing lashes and other deliciousness, like this wonderful matte lipstick I'm wearing. Grab that link. You'll be glad you did. Stay in love.
This week's episode is sponsored by Hustle and Bling. It don't mean a thing if you ain't got that bling. Lovely paparazzi designer pieces for only $5. That's right, $5. And don't worry about it if the kid gets in the jewelry box. They're only $5. Make sure you catch Allison Mondays and Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays live on Instagram and Facebook, promoting some of these wonderful fashion fixes that you'll enjoy. And if you miss it, check out the website. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that bling. Hustle and Bling. This week's episode is sponsored by Dollhouse of Tampa Salon and Studio. Find your inner doll. They offer quick weave, sew-ins, and much, much more to fit every occasion. Need a wig? Selena's got you. She will customize a unit just for you. Book your next appointment on Booksy today. Did someone say nails? Honey, forget the Bayhive. Contact Queen Bee herself. She offers customized designer nails and even designer press-ons that she will customize and ship to you. Braids, and even twists. Book with Tiffany right on Facebook. Find your inner doll at Dollhouse Tampa Salon and Studio. Tampa.
Stay in Love TV is your production to distribution solution to getting your message seen and heard. Having your own TV show with Stay in Love TV has never been easier than now. Stay in Love TV gives you the power to share your message with the world. Stop watching TV and start being watched on TV. Stay in Love TV offers real-time multicasting, all with one click. This opportunity puts you on the world stage with an audience of over 200 million. In addition to your low monthly subscription fees, you will also receive monthly network coaching and training from the network itself to ensure that before your first show premieres, you are set up for success. We at Stay in Love TV bring over 20 years experience in sales, marketing, advertising, and business development. Stay in Love TV, purposeful entertainment driven by love, empowered with passion, fueled with faith. Go to www.stayinlovetv.com and let's get started.
This is our kingdom come. Let the spirit of the Holy One pass over. Let your peace cover the earth. Lord, let your will be done. This is the time to take a stand, to let the world know that you can. You can face tomorrow, but today is the day that you say, I will reign. I will reign. I will reign.
Hello everyone. How are you? I am Vanessa Klinger, your intuitive life strategist and life coach motivator.
And I'm Michelle Washington, your motivator and your spiritual evolutionist. Namaste. Bow to the divine presence in you. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome to Spiritual Speaking and Awakening.
Yes.
Another exciting episode. So, how was your week, co-host?
Awesome. Every week that we're here, we should celebrate because it's another opportunity to get another piece of God. Not that he's in pieces, but he's opening so many doors so quickly that it's like a puzzle that's coming together like really fast. And I know that's why eternity is swallowing up time, because it's like every day I'm like, what day is this?
Me too. I've just lost all sense of time. I mean, it's like I don't even I mean, it's like the days, they just go by quicker and quicker, and it's like the next thing you know, it's Saturday, then it's Sunday, then it's Saturday, then it's Sunday, and it's like I'm just going with the flow. I don't try to plan too much, and get too far ahead of my present state,
Yes.
because I find if I do that, something weird happens. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna just follow it very closely, and be just so like listening to my next move, because it's true. It's just like wow. Time's just speeding up. But so welcome everyone to Spiritually Speaking and Awakening. As you guys know, we are visiting the book of Revelation, more specifically the 7 churches of Revelation, as we kicked off the new season with a new network, Stay in Love TV network. If you haven't downloaded the app, go ahead. It's available on your Android and your iOS. If you don't have a Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, or Apple TV Stick, whatever those things do, download the app. Everybody has it. I know the 99% of the people on this planet have an Android or an iOS iPhone.
Yes.
So Stay in Love TV, it's a free app. Install the app.
Again, congratulations. It's
you.
an accomplishment. So we celebrate.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And like I kept telling you, I'm leaving an artifact. I want to do all that I can for as long as I can, so that I can, get on up out of here. It's not like I really am. I'm like, man, I'm ready to go. This 3D dimension is like, because when you become enlightened to a better way, a better world. Because if you think that this is the only world, then you think, oh, we can make this place better. No, we can't. We can't make this world a better place. Why? Because we're in 3D. 3D, you have contrast, you have the evil, and it kind of makes sense with the story with the Bible about, do not eat it, for you'll know good and evil. Yeah, 3D. Our different earth. I want to go to the new heaven and the new earth. That's where I want to go. I want to exist in there. I want to exist in the new earth, where we'll be with Him forever and ever. I do. I'm excited. Because I know that there is a better place for us. We don't.
Yeah. And until we get to that transition of that better place, we can't change this place, but we can change our perspective of how we move through this place. Because I just decided not to be miserable because it's a waste of time, or not to be sad because I don't have to be. All of those things are choices. And we never thought they were choices. We always were trained and conditioned that that's just what it's going to be.
Right.
But they're actually choices. You have a choice to be hurt. You have a choice to be upset. You have a choice to be happy. But 95% of the people are either not happy, sick, or broke, because they have adopted this 3-dimensional way. And so I'm moving from that 5%. I'm moving from that 95% to that 5% that's happy, healthy, and rich.
Me too.
Yeah.
Regardless.
It's already here. We don't have to do anything but accept it. Long time ago, God said to me, my people do not know how to receive. And I was like, what? And we always think about receiving as money, but you just don't even know how to receive what I've left you in the will. I've left you your birthright. And your birthright is to be rich, happy, and joyous. And so it's like it's in the will, but we just refuse to go pick it up.
We refuse to allow ourselves to accept, embrace, adopt, and believe. One of my mentors, Dr. Mike Murdoch, he said, the greatest pain that God ever experiences is the one where we don't believe him. Where we don't believe. When you believe, you'll find a way. When you believe.
You know how important it is for when you're telling somebody something that they believe what you're saying,
Right.
and how you go out of your way to give all the evidence, all the information that you have in hopes that they're going to believe you. And so when I look at that, I'm saying that that's what God is. He's
Yeah.
given us everything.
Right.
And we can't even take this. Believing is just a seed. It's just the pediatrics to getting in the door. And once you get in there, that seed has to burst open to knowing, and you have to experience those things. So he's given us the seed, but some people can't see inside the seed, so they just hold the seed. But
And they get caught up in, because there's a contrast, right? And that's one of the attributes of this existence is contrast. That's why he said, don't take of it because you'll know the knowledge of good and evil. There's that yin and yang. That's all 3D, right? All of that. So the Bible scripture popped in my mind when you were talking about that. God is not the author of confusion. And people argue, say, well, why is the Bible so confusing? Why is it so confusing? Well, because there's contrast in there. And
because we're trying to take it literally.
Right.
We're trying to understand it in the language that we've been taught.
Right. And you have to rightly divide it. You have to rightly divide the word of truth. And be open to know that, if you really, all throughout the Bible, God talked to people and showed them things in all different kinds of ways and brought enlightenment. He talked to a donkey. He talked, everything is this, symbolic of how God communicates with us. And that's how it is today. But the predictive, restrictive programming was put into place where we had to have this tunnel vision where we could not even see the obvious because we were so programmed and brainwashed and just hypnotized that we could not even see our way. And I remember years ago, please God, just if it's your will, Lord, and please, Lord, just let it be plain as day, God, and it would be plain as day. But because I was under so much programming, I questioned that. So it was like, I think about that now, and now it's like, I don't do that. I'm like, I know what I need to do. Why? Because the Spirit exists within me, and it is my guide and a lamp unto my feet. What's the scripture? A light unto my path and a lamp to something where it guides me continually. Mm-hmm. That it's in me, and I trust that. Oh, you don't know if that was God? Yeah, I do. I trust because I exist in God. I'm not existing anywhere else. And I'm not saying that anything. I know. I'm like, I exist in God. So the only intuition and guidance that I'm getting is from God. Ain't nothing come up in here to try to tell me something and hoodwink me to No, you know why? Because I exist in God, and that light is going to help me see. My spirit, it resonates with that. And I hope everybody's understand what I'm trying to convey here tonight, because if you stop questioning it and start trusting and exist in God.
A lot of people are questioning it because they have been so set into what was taught. And so now that it's being brought to the light, the truth is being, and they're like, well, can this really be? So that's the struggle that people are having of walking into the light, because they already thought they were in the light.
Yeah. And it's so hard for them to, the hardest thing I believe, and I think it's a human instinct, the hardest thing for a person to do is to admit, you know what, maybe I am wrong. Maybe I need to look at it differently.
That's called responsibility.
Maybe it is me. Maybe I need to, what did it say? Check yourself before maybe you need to, evaluate and really go within every day and say, you know what, God, just, and you go through your
Enlighten me.
day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, enlighten me. And that's kind of what I do anyway. Even though I feel like I'm walking in consciousness and I'm enlightened, every day he shows me something that lightens up something else a little lighter. And so you can never get to the point where you say, I got it. Because the moment that you say you have it, you don't have it, because there's another dimension or a different frequency that is above that. And the great thing about God is you always go up. You never go down. You always elevate. You always escalate. You always go into something bigger and better. The thing that was brought to my attention was I saw something that says, what if we don't sleep? Because they were saying that while we're saying we're in a sleep stage, we're actually in a vision doing something. What they call a dream is actually we're in a vision doing something else, but we're out of our body and we're saying we're asleep because our body is not there. But what if it's not sleep? That's why I say, what if some of the things that we've been taught to believe are not true?
Right. And people find it's called cognitive dissonance. I just don't want to believe that. That don't sound like nothing from God. I just don't know. And okay, well, you gonna stay where you are.
So it's a will. I understand the will better, because it's an inheritance. It's a birthright.
Right.
It's a choice, but it's not as much of a choice as it is you receiving your inheritance.
Right.
And so when he said his will has come, it's not coming, it's already here. We have to receive it and then recognize what it is. So I'm just ready to elevate, and escalate and rapture and continuously allow God to just continuously drop these nuggets into my spirit. I'm not trying to convince anybody else that what I hear is the truth, but I know within myself it's the truth. It's my truth and it's the truth for me. So when I offer information that has been downloaded into my spirit, it is to see if it can be useful to you or if it can be a tool to help you elevate to your truth. And I think that's where we missed it with the church. We were trying to force feed the information instead of preparing a table before the people that they may choose and make decisions for their own lives and use those tools. So that's my take on, when we get the
Well,
information.
that don't fit the business model, co-host.
Oh, yeah.
The business model dictated that there will be a strict regimented program being implemented to ensure that control was executed. Thank you, Spirit. That's why. That's why, and that's how you know. And the thing is that I love Jesus' mission statement. And I gotta find that scripture. One way he said, well, I've come to heal the brokenhearted and set the captives free.
It's in Isaiah somewhere.
Isaiah 61:1, I believe. Let me see if I can find that right quick. I'm in Bible Gateway right here. Isaiah 61. Yep. Here we go. Isaiah 61:1. Let me find it here. Oh no, I want to put it here. Here we go. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord God has anointed and commissioned me to bring good news to the humble and afflicted. He has sent me to bind up the wounds of the brokenhearted. And what's the rest of it? Here we go. To proclaim the release. Here we go, right here. Thought I had all of it. Here we go. To proclaim the favorable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance and retribution of our God, to comfort all who mourn. I split it up, but Isaiah 61:1. And the thing is that if you would read that and really understand, then if you would read that, it would really make sense to you. Oh, that's why they killed him. That's why they killed him. He was against the system.
Even when we look at they killed him, is what is being done to us, but it's only being done to that which can be killed.
Right.
And I think we're holding on to that which is passing instead of holding on to that which is eternal and internal.
Right.
And so we get caught up in the five senses, which are always going to implement some kind of confusion. It always does.
Right.
The senses always do.
And that was the whole purpose of the cross. See,
right.
The whole purpose of the cross was about death. It was about death.
And it was about killing your flesh so that you can see the fullness of the spirit. And so everything that we're dealing with or going through is just killing our flesh. It's going to die anyway. You cannot keep it. You cannot retain it. It's going away. It's going away because it's dust. So it's going back to where it came. And so we've been in church all this time and saying, oh, I want to go see Jesus. But we don't want to make that transition. We want to go see Jesus with our mouths and with what we're saying. But the transition is you must die to this third dimensional way in order that you can see Jesus. And you don't have to physically be taken out of here to see Jesus. And you don't have to be absent from this body to be present with the Lord. That's why I say we've got to stop looking at the word of God as literally, because it's a spiritual, revelational, where we are, light that shines. It makes such a difference in how you see things.
It does. It really does. So I encourage each and every one of you that if you want to elevate higher and to see Jesus, that you allow yourself to die, to spiritually die to this 3D dimensional world, so that your eyes can be opened. He said it. I just gotta read it. It just moves me. It always has. And I was like, that's why they killed it. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed and commissioned me to bring good news to the humble and afflicted. He has sent me to bind up the wounds of the brokenhearted, to proclaim release from confinement and condemnation to the physical and spiritual captives, and freedom to prisoners. To proclaim release, you're free, to preach liberty and freedom, that you don't have to be held captive physically and spiritually to nothing.
And especially mentally. Because a lot of us are mentally captive, in captivity.
Yes.
And when you mentally are in captivity, you bring the whole self into the whole jail. And so God has given us the keys. The keys to the kingdom is to unlock the prison, unlock your mentality, and to your Christ-mindedness, your Christ consciousness. And so the Jesus portion of the soul was our flesh, going through all that we go through just to get to the spirit. And he was giving us hope that this is not the end. This is just the beginning. This is not the problem. This is the solution. This is not the pain. This is the freedom. This is not the sickness. This is the health. And so everything is the polarity. This life shows you the down frequency, but the spiritual life shows you the higher frequency, the higher road to take.
And okay, I'm just getting all this, and I'm going to say it. Okay, so the purpose, and I'm saying this with utmost conviction, because the purpose of the cross, the reason why he did have to die, because he was in this 3D realm.
Right.
And he said, look, I lay down my life. You don't kill me.
But the purpose of that was so that he could show us, in order for you to be able to elevate and sit at the right hand of God, which means you are right there, you're in alignment with what's flowing to you from God, you're going to have to die to this realm and reality. Because when he came down here, he knew, because he started and he went into church and everything. So we deviate, but we got 2 minutes. So he called them. He called them out. He flipped the tables over in the church. This is my house. It's supposed to be a house of prayer. What is this? He was executing God's judgment in human form. It was, and as soon as they did that, he put a hit out on him. But he was fulfilling his purpose and his mission. The same for us. If everybody say, "Oh, I want to be like Jesus," then you need to call out those ones that claim to be of God. And I'm not saying going and being judgmental and all that. I'm talking about by you allowing yourself to elevate higher so that you can see it for what it is. When you do that, then you won't have to go in churches and flip tables over, because God and I, judgment already done happened. But you'll be able to see it, and you will know that that's not where he said in the last days they're gonna be saying I'm over here and all that. He said, but I won't be. So you'll be able to see it clearly and know what's going on.
And as you were saying that, I saw him turning those tables over inside of us, as far as us selling out to a whole lot of things that we don't have to sell out to, and that this is his temple, and it's self-sufficient. It doesn't need any add-ons, or it
Why
don't
are
need any
you
add-ons.
trying to sell the holy doves and all this kind of stuff? Why are you trying to market me in your house?
Right. And so we sell out so many times to things that are not of God. I remember one time that God told me this is when I was in the church. I mean, the building. He said, every church I have not fathered. And those are bastards. And I began to say, wow. So we have all of these people that are saying, no, God is our father. But he said, I'm not their father not because of, he said, I'm not their father because they're not following my lead. They have taken over to their own way, and they're not following my lead. So it's just a good time to.
Depart from me, I never knew you. We in it, baby. You know, and I just encourage everybody. Just read Isaiah 61:1 over and over again. And if wherever you are, wherever place of worship you are, if you are not experiencing that, then run, Forrest, run, and come out of her. But we're in the last days. We are in the last days. If you want to be a part of the new heaven and the new earth, then you must do what is necessary. Okay, I understand why I have a headache now. Okay, so I'm getting downloads.
I know.
Last week, you know, we're in the church. We were discussing the 7 churches of Revelation. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Smyrna. But last week, I want to talk about last week right quick. We talked about the church of Ephesus. And the church of Ephesus was, they lost their first love. And God was begging them. He's like, you know, I want you to go back to the depths of the love that you had with me from before. He said, not, I'm going to take your lampstand from you if you don't repent. The first love. And what caused them to lose their first love, co-host?
So we were basically talking about the religious acts, the religious ways to be drawn out of and away from the foundation of everything that started you. the fire. It's like a new relationship. The fire you have, you want to talk to them every day. You want to see them every day. You want to hold on to them. You want to cuddle with them. You want that. And then after a while, I guess you get settled, or you get too familiar, and you think you don't have to do those same things to keep the fire burning, but you do. And there's no shortcut in a relationship with God. There's no shortcut. Well, today maybe I'll talk to him, maybe I won't. Maybe I have time for him, maybe I'm too busy for it. Doing all those things can make you, that the church was doing in Ephesus, all of those things outside of God can make the whole relationship just go cold. And so he was saying, return back to the fire. The fire part of you coming in and you supping with me and you communing with me. And I'm not talking about the wine and the cracker. I'm talking about communion as far as time and getting what his desire is for your life.
Getting a desire and come back to first love. And I love talking about this because this is so enlightening, really, on how we are living it. I mean, it's actually happening.
Right.
It's like with news broadcasters. Today, this is what every week. Today, what happened in the days of Revelation. So, ladies and gentlemen, run and get your refreshing beverage. And when we come back, we're going to go into Revelation chapter 2. We're going to take a deep dive into Smyrna, the persecuted one. So run and get your refreshing beverage. And when we come back, we're going to speak to the church of Smyrna. So let me find my commercial here. Stay tuned. The Ride Along with Vanessa Morning Show streams Fridays, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Stay in Love TV.
Welcome. You have just entered today's Michelleology. I'm Michelle. I'm your spiritual evolutionist and your motivator. In today's Michelleology, we provide you with insight that's needed to take a deeper look into your consciousness and provide tools that will open up the doors to your higher self. Get ready for a now awakening. Remember, once you go in, you'll never be without.
That's right. Once you go in, you'll never be without. So tune in tomorrow, Monday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for today's Michelleology.
Yes.
Deep dive into your consciousness. But tonight, we're going to be talking about Smyrna. I call it Smyrna, the persecuted one. Revelation chapter 2. And I want to highlight verse 9. Let me see if I can pull it. There we go. Verse 9 says, I know your suffering and your poverty, but you are rich, and how you are blasphemed and slandered by those who say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. They are Jews only by blood. I thought that was interesting. And do not believe and truly honor the God whom they claim to worship. You just talking about that. You just said they say that they're of me, but they're not.
Yeah.
So Revelation.
A lot of times in the physical church, there are more cliques and clubs than there's Christ. And so a lot of people want to be a part of the choir or of this or of that. And so he said he knew their works and their tribulations. So when we talk about tribulations, we're talking about the things that you go through. You know, I think I've had like more tribulations inside the building than outside, because it's like trying to live up to a standard.
Well, you know, I understood it all. I understand it all now. I didn't understand why I was going through so much hell in the church when I was in the church. But it was because I wasn't supposed to be in there in the first place. Not that long. See, that's why I was talking about that ride along last week. That anytime the oppressors show up in your life, when you start getting oppressed, It's time to go. So that's your clue. That's your clue. It starts because remember thank you, Spirit. The Bible scripture says if you go to some place and they don't accept you, you shake the dust off
your feet. Yeah.
Okay, so that oppressive state is something letting you know that they no longer accepting you. So when you're in the church and it so if you in the church and they trying to you going through all that, I'm not and people say, oh no, that's just the devil. Yeah, that probably is the devil because the devil is in there, but it ain't got nothing to do with you. It's because it's time for you to move on. And the reason why so many people did not and stayed there to the point where they finally were brainwashed and they got with the program. See, so. And then next thing you know, they in there 10, 15 years and they operating just like everybody else. And they wonder why they ain't in the victory. And they wonder why all this kind of stuff is going on in their life because they in that energy. And they I know you're suffering your poverty, but you are rich. And how you're blessed when say you did all this. But beware that the devil is about to throw some of you into prison. And that's exactly what happened. You stay in that mess too long.
Yeah. I always talk about that mental prison. It's worse probably than being in a physical prison because you're just constantly carrying it wherever you go. And you think it's people, so you change relationships. And then you find that it's in the next relationship. That's because you're the common denominator. Every time you move, that spirit and that energy moves. And it's taking responsibility to saying, okay, like you said, self-evaluation. What is it that I'm doing? It's easy to point out somebody else. But when you start taking responsibility, God shows up and shows you that light. So like you said, they're telling you you're impoverished, but I'm saying to you, you're rich. So that means if somebody's in a low frequency and they're telling you negative things, that, like you said, that's an oppression. That's a depression. That is time for you to make a decision. Say, wait a minute. And I always tell my kids, just because somebody say something to you and tell you something, that doesn't mean it's true. It only becomes true when you take it in and you start creating what they said. So
and that's why it's so important for you to know yourself.
Right.
If you know yourself, if like you say this all the time. Can't nobody call me Michelle when I've been answering to Vanessa my whole life, whole entire life. Can't nobody call me. I may go, no, that is not me. You sure you're not Michelle? I'm certain. Yeah.
But once you know a thing, that's why I keep telling people, once you know a thing, you cannot know it. And nobody can deceive you or put anything before you when you know something. So that's why you got to elevate yourself from just believing to knowing.
And that goes both ways too. If you've been programmed and brainwashed, you can't unknow that just like that.
Right. You have to deprogram it. And so if you have to deprogram, you got to reprogram, because you can't leave that space open, because there is a part of scripture that says once that's cleaned out, if you don't replace it with something, it's about 7 times more stuff comes back and it's worse than it was. And so it's your responsibility to delete and replace and rebuild.
Extract, transform, and load. You extract it out, and then you got to transform. But here's I'm telling you, that evil genius, man. Okay, so the church, they took that and they said, okay, you can't put new wine and old wine. What is it? New wine and old wine. Yeah,
new wine into an old. Right. You can't put old wine into a new wine.
Yeah, and the part about what the spirits, and you sweep them out, you got 7 more worse gonna come back. That was the whole intention of the evil one, was to do that because he knew. See, he know the law. That spirit knew, if I can get them clean, that I can bring in more. Because why? Because they were attached to an evil system that was trickling down all of those spirits. Because it said, look, they say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. They are Jews only by blood and do not believe and truly honor the God whom they claim to worship.
That's interesting. Say they claim. And they were saying that they knew is that they claim. And a lot of people claim God or claim Jesus or claim Christ, but they don't have a relationship to know him. And it takes a lot of time to know him. It's just like a relationship. Every day, God, I think I know God, and he opened something else up to me. I mean, today, I think today or yesterday, I was just driving, and he just said something so simple to me. And I just burst into tears because I was excited that I could hear him. It wasn't anything that the only thing he said to me was, he said, have wisdom in the energy. And when he said that, it was like, have wisdom in the energy. I've never heard that before. So that means be awake and aware of all the energy that's around you, because you're operating in the top energy. So if you're operating in the top energy, you got to make sure that you're in place. It doesn't matter if nobody else is out of place, because the top energy always is going to be the drawing. If I be lifted up, it is always going to draw. Every knee is going to have to bow. When the top energy is in place, he said, have wisdom in the energy. And sometimes that means you're not pointing out somebody else's stuff.
And you shouldn't be.
And you just present like this.
Work out your own salvation, because then the Christ in you, right? And that was one of these reasons. He had rulership while he was operating in this on this earth plane. That's why he was able to perform miracles and all this kind of stuff. Same applies to us. If you're operating Christ consciousness as Christ, then everything must bow to you respectfully.
Right. And that's why when we say have wisdom in that, you don't have to defend your wisdom, because that wisdom defends itself. And all you have to be is
anything.
Yeah, you just have to stand still and see and hear and listen and be and do and have. It's almost so simple. You think that's not the answer. But everything he said is simple enough for a child to understand it. And so we try to get so complicated, and we have more degrees than the thermometer, but we have nothing.
Get lost in the sauce. Get lost in the sauce. Lost in the sauce.
Because education comes from the inside. It doesn't come from the outside. But they have trained us that if you go out there and get all these degrees and they lure you with money, if you go out there and get these degrees, you're going to make this amount of money. But they leave out the part about what you got to pay back once you got all the degrees.
Well, and it's a part of the system of the program. Okay, they gotta keep rebirthing these prostitutes to go out and be a part of the system. That's why they got the whole system set up where we talking tonight. They got the whole system set up to where, okay, you have the baby, you go to welfare, you condition them. Then they got, I mean, it's elaborate, co-host. Okay, then you got the television, telling the vision, training them up in the way they should go, right? Because they know.
And we're giving permission for them to be trained.
And they know that we sleep, right? It's like
the American dream.
It's like you sleep, right? You sleep. And you got all the doors open in your house. And somebody just come in and sit with your children or whoever and just start talking, teaching stuff.
Exactly.
Same thing with the doggone TV. You sleep. You just let them watch whatever. And you wonder why you got this. But it's a part of this elaborate evil scheme program. They got to start, and then next generation, and then the next generation, and then the next generation. And that's why you have the type of programming where the people, the celebrities, the people that are celebrated are the ones that are part of the elaborate programming, the system.
Most of them have been bought. to sell the system.
Gain the whole world and lose your soul. Okay. For fear nothing. Okay, yeah. Fear nothing, verse 10. Fear nothing that you are about to suffer. Be aware that the devil is about to throw some of you into prison, that you may be tested in your faith. For 10 days you will have tribulation. 10. Be faithful to the point of death. If you must die for your faith, I'll give you the crown consisting of life. I know a lot of people. I lost a lot of people. Be like, well, I ain't gonna die now. They totally.
But again, literally, we're
right.
not looking at it literally.
No.
If we don't shave that off, we're gonna miss the whole message.
Right. Be faithful to the point of death. You got to be faithful in what God is telling you, to the point where you are willing to die here. You got to, because Jesus knew that this 3D world programming is the world where Satan exists, the evil one, the mental illness, all the opposition. This is what the opposition is. So he says, look, I'm trying to tell you how you can be liberated from this opposition, the oppressor, the evil one, the devil, whatever you want to call it. So he said, look, you're going to have to do this. But that's okay. It's only going to be for a set time. It's not going to be forever. You're going to have to go through that dark night of your soul where you are stripped so that you can elevate higher. He said, be faithful to the point if you must die for your faith. You've got to be consistent in it. You have to be committed to it. And I will give you the crown of life. That crown, I really believe, it opens it up.
It does.
Your crown chakra. It's going to open it up.
And because as a kid, that was the soft spot. And that spot was, as a baby, was very protected. Because, and I don't really think people knew why they were protecting it. But that is how God was generating. That's why kids have a great imagination, and we looking at the image of God, and the image is in imagination. And so that's that. It's hard enough now because we've gotten hard-headed and think we got it together, and we know everything. But that crown chakra is that opening to heaven, that opening to the greatness of God, that opening to everything that God has for us. And so he's saying, yes, they're going to talk about you. Yes, they're going to say things about you. Yes, they're going to say that on the outside, but I got your inside covered, and your inside is going to overcome everything. He says only for a short time. This too shall pass. And so we're living this like this is forever, but every day is the last day. So this day, anything that I've suffered or been persecuted by, it is going to last for this day. After this day, it is gone on to something different and something new. But we get settled right here, and then we'll wake up in the morning talking about what happened yesterday, and it's passed away. So he's giving us a key that live for right now. Whatever happens today, if you got upset with somebody, if you cut somebody out, if you just told somebody where to go and how to get there and you were going to show them the way, don't take that over. That energy does not fit in the now. And so that's where depression comes from. So we've got to live this moment and then go to the next.
Right.
Without, let me pack this moment up and let me pack this up and then taking a U-Haul into the next day. That's why we're so heavy. That's why we're feeling so down. That's why we're so pressed. That's why I'm not saying crisis no more. Mental transition is happening where people are feeling as if they're going crazy, but they're actually transitioning, and they're actually hearing some things that they didn't hear in the physical. They're hearing it in the spiritual. And that's why they're not able to handle it. But we as the church are supposed to be there and say, wait a minute, you're not going crazy. Let me just walk you. You're just waking up, baby. Yeah.
You're waking up. Yeah. You're not going crazy. You're just waking up.
Right.
And that's why, the programming and that we were a part of for so many years, so many hundreds and thousands of years, however many lifetimes we've been here, it has to be transformed because it has to be you have to be reprogrammed. That requires transformation. And mine started I want to say, I remember way back in 2010, and my vision was all skewed. I started seeing weird stuff. I felt like I was schizophrenic, and I was seeing stuff, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going crazy. No, I wasn't. I was waking up. And I'm so grateful that I started alternative medicine years ago. I was selling Herbalife 30 years ago. And I kind of had some insight into all of that. And I just started researching, alternative ways of treating schizophrenia, alternative ways of treating this and that and whatnot. And I looked up those herbs and I researched them. And I went straight to GNC because that's the only one I know. And I knew a lady that owned it. And I said, Annie, I need this. I have anxiety. She said, I got it. I'll get it for you. And I started taking that stuff. And I started meditating. And eventually, it kind of just, it got better. It got better. And, and I'm not saying, please don't come for me. I'm saying this worked for me. Because I knew I was on my spiritual journey because I had started meditating and doing affirmations and all this stuff, and I was my system was breaking down. It was crumbling, and that's what happened. And I knew I had to alternatively replace it with vitamins and herbs to treat it.
So yeah, we have to, it's according to your faith, and whatever you have faith in is what's going to work or Absolutely. Work against you. So you have to examine your faith, where your faith is. You can have faith in your fear, or you can have faith and be used on the evil side too. So you have to examine which side are you using your faith for. Are you using faith to be fearful, or using faith to be faithful? Mm-hmm. So like she was saying, but the interesting thing about all of these churches is the last line is, he that hath the ear, he didn't say ears, so I know it wasn't physical. He's saying, come out of your head and go to the ear in your heart. And that's where you're going to get clarity. That's where you're going to get comfort. That's where you're going to get direction. And he was saying, y'all come out of your physical and go back in so you can hear what I'm saying to you. And I can bring you out of the persecution, because you will hear it. You will hear it here, but you will diminish it here. It'll be annihilated when it gets to your heart. So it's going to take you out of some of this stress, depression, anxiety, which are titles that they gave for you to create how to feel. Mm-hmm. There are no such things.
Fear nothing that you are about to suffer.
It's no such thing. There's no way God would tell you not to fear it if it was real. Everything that you fear is not real until you create it to be real.
Absolutely. Say it to them. Say it to them one more time, co-host, so they can hear you in the back.
Everything that you fear is not real until you create it to be real. So he's telling you, don't fear. There are 366 times fear not is in the Bible, one for each day and one for leap year. So fear not, because it's not real. It is just a false energy appearing real. And the only reason it's appearing real is because you perceive it as being real. If you perceive it as not being real, then it won't be real. It's so simple, it's ridiculous.
and that's the thing. It's so simple. But, he told them, fear not.
And I just don't think we are aware of how much fear we carry during the day. because I started watching, and it was like little subtle things, like looking in the clouds to say, oh, it's probably going to rain today. And then I'm going to be in the traffic. And then that's a fear. We start creating the whole thing.
You already mapped out your whole experience.
And it's just a cloud. It's not rain falling. You just see a dark cloud.
Talk about the faith the size of a mustard seed. You took that and made a mountain out of a molehill.
Right. Now, if we can do that on a low frequency situation, think how much we can do on the upper side, on the higher vibrations. Just like you build that mountain out of a molehill to be something fearful for you, you can turn that thing around and reverse it and create the same thing. That's the whole thing that he was telling this church. You're being persecuted, but turn it around. Just like you're feeling bad about something somebody said to you, don't feel bad about it. Turn it around. Look for the solution. And once you turn it around, it has to reverse.
It has to reverse.
Ooh, I was talking to myself then. Oh, turn it around. There's a song that came on. They say, God, turn it around. Have you ever had your back against the wall and God turned the wall around? He didn't turn the situation around. He just turned the wall around. You couldn't even see it no more. Telling y'all, we are in the best possible place we could ever be at this enlightening moment. You were chosen to be in this period, in this time, in this section of life, to be able to go through that. If you're still here, then you have everything you need to make it through this. Some people didn't make it because they were not equipped to make it, but you have been equipped to make this thing work. You've been equipped. And it's your opportunity to take this thing to the next dimension in your mind. You got to see it in your mind.
You got to see it in your mind. And see, here's the thing. Oh, what time we got? Okay. Okay. So we done talked about Smyrna. Okay. So we know Smyrna. They thought they was poor and they was ready because that's what they were being conditioned and programmed to believe. And God was saying, look, in order for you to get to this place of victory where you realize and see that you are rich, you're going to have to go through persecution. Because the evil one don't want you to leave. He don't want you to leave because he needs your energy.
Yeah.
That's why they perping trying to be me. He said, they need us. He said, but in order for you to transform out of this situation, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be persecuted for 10 days. So I don't know what the 10 means. Maybe I don't know, but it's just to indicate that it's a set time, But the fact of the matter is,
I think 10 in the Bible is divine purpose.
Okay, so then it's a part of God's plan.
Yes, about something about divine, God's divine purpose.
Okay, so it's a part of the plan. So he said, in order for this to occur for you victoriously, it's going to require a 10-day persecution.
Yeah, so you're in the divine. You're in the image of the divine. You're operating out of the imagination of God, which is unlimited. So when you're in these places, these hard places, these places where you always talking about, I can't pray. Well, if you can't pray, recognize where you are. Open your eyes and be conscious of where you are. And begin to encourage yourself to let you know that this is a divine place for me. I'm in divine image. I am divine equipped. So allow it. What God told me was with a situation with my daughter, he said, let it play out. And that is the hardest thing for you to do. But when he said, let it play out, he said, this is going to determine to you, because I already know if you really trust me.
I know that's right. And guess what? You were built for it. That's the great thing about it.
Right.
Me? That's why I don't have any children. That's not a part of my plan, nor my design. Systemically, spiritually, systemically, I wouldn't be able to handle. But other things I was designed to handle. So I'm equipped to handle. So that's the great thing about it. See, people be thinking, I don't know how I'm going to get through it. You were built for it. You were built for it. You got everything in here. Every little inner chip, whatever program, you got everything in you. You're built for it. That's the most amazing thing about it. That before we even arrived here, our story was mapped out, planned out, orchestrated from every vantage point. Every variable was incorporated for us to be victorious.
And the thing that I keep hearing, he said, you chose this.
Yes. Yes.
And now you talking about, God, I can't handle it. But I showed you this before you got in the womb, and you chose to take this.
We agreed. We were like, okay, yeah, I can do that. Okay, yeah, what else we're going to do? Okay, yeah, that's perfect. Okay, yeah, okay, but I want to work out some karma stuff. Okay, then we got to write this scene in here and this experience. Okay, all right, you do that. Okay, so suit me up for that. And then, you got all the support system being put in place for you before you even got here. That's why he said before you were in your mother's womb, I knew you. I had a conversation. Yeah. You and I, we done mapped out every part of your life. Mm-hmm. And if people would just get that and know all things work together. Why does it all work together? Because I was a part of this experience. And I know that I'm going to come out of it. And when you take that position, it's like playing a game. When you take that position, then you start, you open up another level of the menu, and you get all these tools and ammunition that you need in order to go on that level.
And you only get the amount of tools for each level. So this level, these tools are not going to work on the next one. And these tools are not going to work on the next one. And I think we kind of we try to use the same thing to get through each dimension instead of unlocking the next tools, which calls for meditation and study and spending time with God to know what those tools are in order to go to your next dimension. So the church of Smyrna, he was just unlocking their next level of tools in order to make it. And he was telling them, you're going to be victorious. Mm-hmm. Just let it play out.
Let it play out. That's the takeaway for the night, ladies and gentlemen. Let it play out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much, co-host, for another exciting episode of Spiritual Speaking and Awakening. Tonight, we went through Smyrna and we blew the roof off the sucker. We really did. We blew the roof off, and we hope that you got what you needed tonight to equip you so that you can finally understand just how powerful you really are. Mm-hmm. I want to thank you guys so much. I want to thank you for joining us. Join us. Tune in tomorrow, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for joining the great Michelle Massey Washington on today's Michelleology right here on Stay in Love TV. And also join me Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Right Along with Vanessa morning show. Another exciting
episode. Hot dog.
And hot dog. You over there asleep right now. It's just like that. He don't like to be bothered when you sleep. He's like, no, I got to get my energy so I can go to the park in the morning and go play. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And then also join us next week here, Spiritual Speaking and Awakening. I am Vanessa Klinger, your intuitive life strategist and life coach motivator.
I'm Michelle Washington, your motivator and your spiritual evolutionist. Namaste.
Namaste, everyone. And until next week, stay in love.
Welcome. You have just entered today's Michelleology. I'm Michelle. I'm your spiritual evolutionist and your motivator. In today's Michelleology, we provide you with insight that's needed to take a deeper look into your consciousness and provide tools that will open up the doors to your higher self. Get ready for a now awakening Remember, once you go in, you'll never be without.
Stay in Love TV is your production to distribution solution to getting your message seen and heard. Having your own TV show with Stay in Love TV has never been easier than now. Stay in Love TV gives you the power to share your message with the world. Stop watching TV and start being watched on TV. Stay in Love TV offers real-time multicasting, all with one click. This opportunity puts you on the world stage with an audience of over 200 million. In addition to your low monthly subscription fees, you will also receive monthly network coaching and training from the network itself to ensure that before your first show premieres, you are set up for success. We at Stay in Love TV bring over 20 years experience in sales, marketing, advertising, and business development. Stay in Love TV, purposeful entertainment driven by love, empowered with passion, fueled with faith. Go to www.stayinlovetv.com and let's get started.